For many families, the early morning routine, getting children up, breakfasted and off to school can be extremely stressful. Likewise, the witching hours, getting young ones through dinner, bath and bed can be anything but smooth. Our parenting expert today is Wellington-based parent educator and mentor Mary Willow. After 35 years of work as a nurse, midwife and early childhood teacher both here and overseas, she saw a need for a one-to-one service to help families when everything at home is turning to custard, and she founded Plum Parenting. 10 years on, she has a 6-month waiting list and is planning to create an online course this summer to make the theoretical side of her work more widely available. If you have questions for Mary, you can send them to us, text 2101 or email 9to-noon at radionz.co.nz. Mary, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Lynn.
These can be stressful times of the day, can't they? Mornings and evenings. You call them transition times. Why are they so tough?
Well, there's basically 4 transitions to the day. So there's the morning, and then there's arriving home from wherever they've been out, and then there's the dinner time scene, and then there's the bedtime scene. And we can understand it better if we look at how the brain is building itself. So the children are building up their learning through experiences. And it's almost like when they go into an experience, they put that SIM card in, and when they change out of that experience to the next thing, they kind of have to take that one out and put a new one in and boot up the system. And they need time and space for that. And so these transition times are pressure times, and when we pressure them and they don't get that time and space, they begin to react. So, and another really important concept there is that we adults, it's like we're standing at the top of the mountain. We can see the big picture. We see the point of the transition. You know, if I focus here, I'm going to be great in a couple of hours. But the children don't see that, and they're not supposed to see that because they're not grown up yet. They're living in the moment. They don't see the point. They just feel the pressure. And so without that big picture, they're not really in the mood for cooperating.
And a tough time for parents who might have been working all day or got a stressful day ahead of them. So it's kind of a collision of
absolute collision.
Many bad things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can talk till you're blue in the face to get them through the transitions.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen.
No.
You've explained why. So if they're not going to listen, what can you do?
Well, what we need to do is actually think quite a way out of the box, and I like to liken it, it's a little bit like running a B&B. If you're running a B&B, a bed and breakfast, you're getting up in that morning and you're preparing everything. You've put things together the night before, and you're kind of one step ahead of the game, and you're ready to kind of greet those customers despite their foibles and be nice and pleasant, and you're going to actually rhythmically carry your guests through the day, welcome them to your city for the day. So it's kind of like that. We're welcoming the children back from sleep into life, and the first thing we've got to do is kind of be ahead of it. I call this civil defence mode. So if you're in charge of civil defence on Mount Ruapehu, then you've already studied that mountain. You know every way that mountain can blow. If you wake up in the morning and say, please God, may the kids not be like they were yesterday, then you're more in defence mode. You're ready for that first hit, and it's going to knock you off your perch. But civil defence mode means, yep, I know, they're still kids, they haven't grown up, it's transition time, they are going to react, I'm ready. So that's the first thing, is to get your head into the right place. The second thing is to create a rhythm, because children are still in the body stage of learning, and all the organs in the body are rhythmic. Everything is rhythmic. If you provide a strong rhythm, it's like carrying them down a river. Whereas if you are behind the ball and you start peppering them, then they start to react.
And routine is important. We
so
hear this
that's
all the time.
Routine, yeah. So if you get up in the morning before them, now I know everybody's thinking, no, I'm exhausted and they've had me up at night and I just want to get every last second of sleep I can get. But during the turnaround period, you need to actually get up and get showered and get dressed and be ready to meet them and greet them. And I've got a way of approaching this that I call corral the ponies and then release the ponies. So what that means is that they don't do the business stuff well, all right? Well, some of them do, and some of them are at one end where they're anxious and obsessed about the business stuff and getting it all right, and others are way out to lunch. So what we need to do is take the business things and get them done. Be on deck, be present, be hands-on, and guide them through it, not do what I call distance parenting, where you, right, have you got your boots on yet, or have you brushed your teeth yet? I told you to brush your teeth, why haven't you brushed them yet? if you've asked them once and you're not getting a response, parent the behaviour, not the age. Not like you're 7 years old and you should be able to brush your teeth on your own. Haven't answered, not responding, need to go and do repetition with them again, because that's how the brain learns. So the young child is learning through imitation, through doing it, through repeating it. So we need to be the ground under them. We need to show them how this morning is going to go.
We've had an email, and I'd like to share with you. We're happy to not give a name. I think many will understand this. I'm a mother of 3. She says, my primary school-aged girl and 2 under 2s, and I have another on the way. What are your top tips for coping with the juggle and the madness? I'm mostly on my own with the children, including mornings and even into the night. And even though every day I try to tell myself I'm going to cope with my day without stress, I find it so stressful managing them all. The most pressure seems to be mainly, yes, during the witching hour, and also generally during the rush hours of get up, breakfast, lunches, school, daycare time, and dinner, bath, bottle, bedtime. I love and enjoy my little darlings, but the stress is affecting our enjoyment of our time together, and I often end up feeling wound up, angry and stressed. I feel disorganised and like I'm drowning in it. Not nice for my children or myself. Even just a few guidelines of how to get out of this rut would be helpful. You've given some tips, Mary, but that's pretty tough with three little and
my
another on the way.
heart goes out to you. This is the hardest job in the world and the least supported job in the world. And here you are in this classic scenario with these 3 children trying to get through it, and they all have very different needs. So your oxygen mask first. So have you actually done something to take care of yourself before it all begins? So in other words, eat, drink, make sure that you are really ready to be on board. Secondly, try to prune what is not needed. So a lot of what we do is we pack too many things into the one space. So getting those lunches half made the night before, getting the clothes put out the night before, pruning anything you don't need from the morning. And please, may I say, one of the biggest problems is the screens in the morning. We've got our phones, we've got our iPads, we've got different things going. So even in newspapers, all of that's got to be out of the way, and we've got to be present. The next thing is kind of find your canary. Find which one of your children is the one that is going to be the most likely to pop when things go wrong. Let's get that one sorted first. So figuring out how could you actually attend to the needs of one child possibly a bit before you get the baby up, or I can't specifically address your situation, but you're figuring out what could I do first and then occupy that child with something. I often use an idea called stuff boxes, which is a magic little box or container of something, and it's just for that time and that time only. It's got something very fun in it, and they're never allowed to see it any other time. And that's your emergency box that you pull out, and you might get your 2-year-old on that while you sort out the baby, while your big girl is
getting ready for school.
Ready for school. So you've got to get that one sorted first, and
It's more questions pouring in. You've really, struck something here. What advice would you give to a parent whose 2.5-year-old child refuses to get dressed every morning, which causes great stress delays and disruptions to the day's plans? Because you don't want to, in my day, if you didn't do that, you had your clothes kind of forced on you, yes, as I remember. Yeah. It's not the way we work these days. That's quite tricky.
It's very tricky, and it's a complex thing, but let's try and give you a few simple tips. So you're needing to understand, how do young children learn? They don't actually learn through information. They don't actually respond to emotional threat or persuasion. The way that they're learning is through doing. So they're imitating. And when we try something on them, they react. And what most of us don't do, or what most of us do, is we take the bait and we get involved in that reaction, not realising that actually the key is to outlast that reaction. So it's sort of nudging a child forward on something. When they kick back on you, just pull back a step, but hold your ground. Be a roadblock, be a wall, stay present. Don't blow up, don't go away, stay calm. As they go up, you go down. As they go fast, you go slow. As they spin out, you stand still. And watch that wave rise up, and then it will pass again. Why? Because they're in the body stage of learning, and all the organs in the body have urges and waves of hunger and needing to go to the toilet. We need that wave to pass and then carry on, because the way the neurons connect is through repetition. And so we have to be able to at first have a period where we just calmly, okay, wait for the wave to pass, now get back to it. Try, see if you can get another sock on. Keep going. Eventually, the child's brain is recording that all this crazy behaviour isn't actually bringing a result. You don't go away. You actually stay with it and you work it through, and you're laying the foundations for learning for life.
More coming in. Hi, I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they share a room. The 1-year-old is a light sleeper, and the 5-year-old is terrible at going to bed. He's always hungry, that last-minute hunger. They share a room and they keep each other up. Can you give us a tip or two, as bedtime has become a horrid battle and we both dread it? Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a really tough one and a common situation. But the interesting thing, as I said, the brain is laying down, is asking, what is the world and how does it go? So the way that you respond is laying down the story. So the interesting thing that happens a lot here with the babies is that, in fact, the older one is kicking up a fuss and getting a result because you desperately don't want the baby to wake up. So in actual fact, to turn it around, you need to go through a period where you've first of all met all that child's needs lovingly, beautifully, deliciously, but now's the time to signal that little body brain that, just like all the other animals, it's time to go to sleep now. And if you keep kicking and fussing at this point, I'm actually not going to give that a result. And so, yes, your baby might wake up and you might have to attend to that, but if you don't outlast this behaviour calmly, warmly, lovingly, patiently, then that behaviour will continue because it's getting a result. And this often happens when we're desperately trying to not wake up the other children. You might have to do an interim step of putting someone somewhere else at that bedtime for a week or 3, but you can turn it around with consistent, patient repetition.
Here's another for you. I'm a father of 2, aged 5 and 7. Great children. I work 60 to 70 hours a week and find that when I get home, I make a point of being home for dinner. I find myself going over the same table manners every night. Please help.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing, once again, is how do they learn and what makes them react. So if we ignore it entirely, well, they'll carry on eating in the way they eat without any input. On the other hand, if we jump on them and get mad with them and turn the whole dinner time into a big confrontation, once again, the neurons are writing the story. Okay, I now associate dinner time with stress. And once they're stressed, they actually go backwards into their fight or flight centre, and they're much more likely to behave even worse. So the thing is, once again, it's that same message. We need to do what we want them to do, so we're modelling and they're imitating. And when they throw their stuff and kick or refuse to cooperate with those table manners, it's repetition, it's calm repetition that is the key to building the body brain. Calm repetition. When we learn a new job, when we learn to drive a car, well, how do we do it? It's repetition, it's repetition. And what happens is we give up too soon, we throw our toys, we get mad, we apply the pressure. it's important to take the longer term view, you know. They don't have to have perfect manners instantly. Can we take even just one little part of it and just not saying, hey, hold your spoon the right way, but just gently going over and repositioning the spoon in that hand, and then just giving it another chance, and just do it over and over, and eventually you get there. It's not as simple as that, but that's the tip at the moment.
What do you think of this? This is lateral thinking from a texter. My advice for children who won't get dressed in the morning is let them wear clean clothes to bed after their bath. My daughter does this. I rather like that as a concept. Or is that not addressing the problem, really?
Well, that's the shortcut. And, you know, it's always good to be able to come up with ways to sometimes get through. For instance, just relating to that, let me just add that often when you're trying to get that dinner going, there's sometimes in some families where all hell is breaking loose, it's even worth having a 6-month period where you actually prepare the meal the night before and it's just a warm and go, and in fact you take them for a walk right before dinner or whatever, do something hands-on because the dinner's not going well. But when you pop the clean clothes on them before bed, well, yes, you've eliminated one of your morning problems. Great, well done. But in actual fact, that fight or flight centre in the child, which I call the guard dog, that little guard dog is actually calling the shots and is basically. There are only ever 3 boundaries. The rest of it is freedom, and children need to be free to be spontaneous, explore. That's how they're building their brain. But the 3 boundaries are, can you successfully say stop or no or go? Just those 3. And if you're not able to say time to get your clothes on now, then you've got work to do. Now, there might be an interim period where putting the clothes on the night before is a great idea to get through. But ultimately, that child does need to learn that, and you're going to have to figure out how to get back to that and work it through. And can I really say this? We think all we're doing is just trying to get through the morning, but what you're really doing is building the learner. So you don't just do this and then send them off to school to learn. The core learning for life is right here and now and trying to get the clothes on. Can you successfully meet the world? Can you stay open when things are frustrating and you don't feel like doing it? Can you work it through?
I think you might like this one too. Actually, my kids' refusal to get dressed sometimes resulted in them going to kindy in their pyjamas and getting embarrassed. It worked, lol.
Yes.
Reverse psychology. It's interesting. And another one, do these techniques work on older people?
They do. You know how people talk about carrot and stick? I don't believe in carrot and stick, of course, but I believe in carrot and wall. So what I mean by that is sometimes, especially with an older child, when you're trying to turn something around, there is actually a place for a plan and a goal and a reward built into that. I don't believe in dishing out rewards willy-nilly all over the place, but you're trying to basically get that resistant guard dog to come down the road and go, oh my God, I actually did put my clothes on and go to school and I survived. I'm still alive. How is that possible? I thought for sure I was going to die. So what we're looking for with this situation is, once again, does the child know what's good for them yet? Does a child know that what the weather's going to be, what the clothes are going to be that are the best for today? What's the best food for the day that's ahead of them? What's the best bedtime for what this week's got to hold? We mustn't abdicate our role as the one who knows, who's leading them into life and laying down their habits of response to the world.
Thank you so much, Mary, and a testament to you. We've had so much feedback and more coming in. That's Mary Willow from Plum Parenting. I think you'll find that online course will be well patronised. Lovely to talk to you. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.